Hey y'all, and welcome back to Draw Editions. This will be the second Popcross Studios redraw video on the channel. They usually wouldn't be this close together, usually they'd be a month apart, but simply due to how long it took me to get the first one out, this one is closer. Also, I did kind of jump the gun on this one. I apologize for that. As you can see, I've already got the line work for like the first drawing off to the side, and I say first because I do end up doing a second one, but the reason that the first one is there is because I didn't originally intend to use it as a actual drawing. I just meant to use it as a reference picture for my actual drawing, but then I ended up liking it more than the actual drawing, so I decided to use it as an actual drawing as well, and reduce the one that you're currently watching me draw to basically just the being able to see the face. Because I figured that Popcross Studios would probably want to see what the character looks like with the helmet off, because he doesn't usually draw, at least not when he's doing like character profiles, like reoccurring characters. He doesn't usually show them wearing a helmet. Usually you can see their full face, so I figured that he'd probably want to know what the face looked like, so I just did a little face at the end. I am not good with faces though yet, so kind of shabby, but you know what, it gets the job done, and I like the helmet one more anyway. Just for some clarification, this month's prompt was to create involves a superpowered school, or a school for superpowered people, and as such, we were supposed to design a superhero from the age of, I think, 13 to 16. I chose to go for 16 because I felt like that would be I really struggled trying to make something that looked both muscular, fit, and young, because in order to make something muscular, you have to make it big, but in order to make it young, you kind of have to make them look thinner and longer. So it didn't really work great, and I feel like it kind of looks like an adult, but by comic book standards, at least the drawing on the right, you could definitely argue was a teenager, although they might be 17 or 18, which is slightly passing the gap, but I think it's close enough that if in lore he's 16, it's fine. As about the lore, because this is my own original character, actually I didn't even finish explaining, so one step back. The prompt was to create a kid for a superpowered school, and it's your own original superhero, and most importantly, those selected will become reoccurring characters in the Popcross universe. And now that's awesome. That's something that I would really like to see happen to one of my characters. So I wanted to kind of go all out with this, and just so you know, what does appear in this video is not actually my final product, because I don't want to limit my time. So I drew what I thought was acceptable for a video, and I'm going to keep tweaking it until the time of the upload that I need to submit it. But as it is my own original character, I do have my own original lore for the character, and I should probably get into that. So the character on the screen is a 16-year-old boy by the name of Toby Rangers. Now, Toby really enjoyed video games, and now this is important for later. That is a important characteristic. He was very fun-loving, less so now. He's a lot more stoic now, although he is still very kind and very talkative when talked to, although he is a little bit of an introvert until spoken to. But one of the things he really enjoyed doing was video games, and this does play into his powers later. So in his universe, though uncommon, it was not unheard of for people to be born with superpowers. And I do say was, because in the last 15 years, there has not been a single person born with superpower, at least not recorded. And that means, with this being a 16-year-old superhero, this is one of the last superheroes ever recorded. And also current superheroes have as of late been targeted by attacks specifically meant to counter their abilities and take them out. So the number of heroes in the world has been plummeting rapidly. he was never targeted because his powers weren't flashy or even visible, so even he didn't know he had powers for a good majority of his life. Although, after finding out he did, he pretty much immediately joined a superhero team, seeing that his city was in dire need of help. So what exactly are his powers, if they were so minuscule that he never realized? Well, his powers are essentially, if you've ever played a video game and you know what bullet time is, it is where essentially time slows down when you're being shot at, giving you time to dodge in the game. Now, time doesn't actually slow down for him, and it's not exactly like that. It's simply that his perception of time and the speed at which he perceives things increases massively, somewhere between 100 and 1,000-fold, and his reflexes also multiply while this ability is active. Now, the caveat of this ability is that it activates itself when it's kind of like spider sense in this way. It only activates when a fatal blow, 10 seconds before a fatal blow occurs. So even though in his time he has incredibly long to figure out where this fatal blow is going to come from, in reality it's only 10 seconds and he has to react to that. Now this is where his second ability comes in, because you can't dodge everything. While his ability is great for dodging and reacting to things, you can't dodge everything. So his second ability is temporary invulnerability, where he creates a field around him it's a skin-tight field, but there's a little bit of a tiny white glow around him, so minuscule that you wouldn't notice unless you weren't looking, but as long as that white glow is there, he cannot be harmed. Now, this is incredibly taxing, and the first time he tried to do it for any extended period of time, he passed out. So, taking inspiration from video games, he decided to try and make his ability more like invulnerability frames, because in video games, certain abilities or moves give your character a few periods, or not even a few seconds, usually a second or less of time in which they won't take any damage. And he decided to try and do this with his own ability. By pairing it with the first ability that I mentioned, he can tell perfectly when to time it, essentially giving himself invulnerability frames. This doesn't drain much energy, as he only has it activated for roughly a second or less at a time, but also still protects him. Now, he has no offensive abilities, so he uses two electrified kind of brass knuckle things to enhance his... He does already have enhanced durability and enhanced strength, like most superheroes just inherently do in his world, but not to the degree of anything spectacular. In fact, he's like slightly above average human is basically where his physique lays, so even like people that are just peak human would surpass his strength, but he does get that. But he uses electrified like brass knuckles to make up for his lack of offensive abilities. After a few years of fighting with these individuals, fighting with the superhero team, they came across the worst day of his life and the last of some of their lives. A interdimensional portal opened, releasing creatures the likes his universe had never seen. His team went to stop it, but one by one they went down. The only reason he actually survived was because his abilities are entirely built around survival. So he was able to stall long enough for one of the most powerful heroes in his universe, a character by the name of Ultimatum, who has the ability... he's a powerful reality warper, meaning he can pretty much do just about anything he wants. This reality warper then defeated the creatures, and Last Stand, by the way, I haven't said this yet, but Toby goes by the superhero name Last Stand due to his powers basically giving him a last stand. But he then went down and talked to the young hero, and he's not much older. He's only like 1 or 2 years older, and that Last Stand admitted he didn't feel that his abilities gave him the opportunity to protect the people of his city. He didn't feel that his invulnerability was enough to stop all the crazy stuff that was going on in his city. So Ultimatum told him about a multiversal school for superpowered beings that maybe he could learn to improve his powers at. It wasn't it was he would have had no way there, but Ultimatum being Ultimatum and being able to essentially, as he can do pretty much anything he can imagine, Ultimatum was able to open a portal to said school and told the boy that he would protect the city until Last Stand returned. And after reaching school, he, as I said at the beginning, kind of stuck to himself, was quiet, and didn't particularly try to interact with anyone, although he was happy to talk and make conversation if he was spoken to, but he never went out of his way to speak to others. He was very kind, but in training he was very stoic, very serious, and this stoicness was the result of him not wanting to fail again, so he takes his training very seriously, but now he's pretty much, hopefully with the help of the school, he'll be able to get better at his job and return one day to his city and be the hero that his town needs, and hopefully be able to figure out what's going on and why superheroes are disappearing in his world. That's about all I have for this character. There was more details, but I don't have time in this video to go into the deep details. So that's what I'll leave it at for now. Just to kind of talk about the design, I much prefer the first video to the second, or not first video, much prefer the first drawing, and I was, for the second one originally, what I was trying to do is I was trying to get, like, kind of this, not triumphant, but this kind of, like, determined, like, he's not moving and he's going to take the fight. But it didn't really go that way, so I just kind of decided to use it for a headshot, get another angle on the torso, and I think it worked out pretty okay, and honestly, I did really enjoy drawing this. As much as I like drawing things for other universes, sometimes just getting to do my own original thing is a lot of fun, which is one of the big reasons I really enjoy these Popcross redraws. And I really hope, and I'm excited for the next one, and I want to see if mine makes it into this one, because honestly, I feel like at least the first drawing is one of the best superhero-esque drawings I've done. I really liked that one, so I'm kind of hopeful for this one at least. And I think it'll, and even if I don't, I can always, maybe I can, if I don't make it, maybe I can expand on this universe, and maybe I can add almost a fourth type of video where I have my own universe. And in that own universe, maybe this can be one of the main characters. But that's only if it's not selected. I would kind of prefer it gets selected, but, you know, it is what it is, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. Anyway, that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any recommendations, leave them in the comments, and I'll see you all in the next one. Hope you enjoyed. Bye.